Well, hello and welcome to our messy open the book time. Our story today is called Be Like Me. And I wonder whether or not you wish already that you were grown up. Lots of things I'm sure that you say, when I grow up, I'd like to drive a car or fly a plane or buy a house or be on the stage. There's probably loads of things that you'd like to do when you're grown up. When you are grown up, though, you remember what it's like to be a child. Will you remember, I wonder, when you're grown up, how you feel today? So today's story is all about one boy's memories. He was a child about your age. The Bible doesn't tell us what he was called, so we're going to call him Janai. So that's our story today. Anne's going to do a craft for you in a minute, and I know you're going to need your hands in more ways than one, and then she will sing a song a bit later on. So I'll be back shortly for our story.
So today's craft, we're going to make some prayer hands to remind us that we're all called to be Christ's hands here on earth. So we're going to need a piece of paper, an A4 piece of paper. I've got some yellow this morning. Fold that in half. We're going to cut out two hands. And it's sometimes easier to do the two hands together. So just fold that in half. And if you place your hand onto that and carefully draw around. Just taking your fingers up. There we are. Doesn't take very long. Yeah. So you have your outline of your hand, and if you carefully cut round, you will end up with two hands. Might take a moment or two, but if you carry on round, speed the process up. I've already got two, and although it looks like you've got two, in my case, left hands here, if you open them up, you have a left and right hand. There we are. A pair of hands, and now on there you can write things to remind you to pray on one and how we want to behave on the other. And so I think I'm going to pray for our family. There we are. I'm going to put the world there. I think our church, as it begins to worship again. I think I know those who are ill. All there. And here I'm going to put a thing about people who have died, as I remember those who I knew. And on the other one, I'm going to put some things maybe that we ought to do that sometimes we don't. So we should, I think I'm going to say, always be kind, thoughtful, I think prayerful, maybe generous. And the other one I'm going to put on here is I'm going to try and be a bit tidier. Although you can't see it, my desk at the moment is looking very untidy. But whatever you think of, these are things that you're going to A, pray for in the coming week, and B, try and behave as Jesus would have us behave. And then you can put them somewhere so that you can look at them over the coming days and weeks. Our prayer hands.
So this is our story about the little boy called Janai, called Be Like Me. I can remember so clearly that day when I felt so special and so important. I was only a young lad, no more than 9 or 10, and I was busy as usual helping my mum and the other women. It was my job to collect wood for the fire. I can even smell the smoke now. And Mum was busy kneading some dough, and I heard an argument out near the road. Some of Jesus's friends were squabbling as they were walking past me. It was quite difficult to hear exactly what they were saying, but they seemed to be arguing about which one of them was more important than the others. Then Jesus went over and broke up the argument. Once everything has calmed down, I heard my name being called. Janai, come over here. And I looked up really surprised because it was Jesus's voice calling me. He was resting by the roadside and all the men were standing around him, and he called me over again. Janai, come here, he said. Come to me. I glanced at my mum because I wasn't sure what to do, and she nodded her head and said, yeah, go on, that's okay. Go and see what Jesus wants. So I put down the wood, I wiped my hands on my shirt, and I walked over to Jesus and his friends. Jesus smiled at me and turned to face me. He looked at me and I was wondering what he would say. My friends, he said to his friends, if you want to get into the kingdom of heaven, you need to be like Janai here. You need to become like a little child. Don't waste your time arguing about who is more important. Instead, learn from the children. Be willing and be humble. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Jesus was telling these men, these special friends of his, that they should be more like me. In fact, Jesus said quite firmly now, I'll go even further. Children are so important that you must cherish them. You must never do anything or say anything that might make them lose their faith in me. Their love for me is very precious. Encourage it, nurture it, protect it. God is very unhappy with anyone who spoils children's love for their Father in heaven. I was surprised to hear this because I was only a boy who did little jobs. I only did what I was told to do. These men did important things like teach people about God, and they healed people. They could even stay up all night talking to Jesus when I had to go to bed when my mum told me to. Jesus hugged me and whispered, never forget, you are important to God. I went back to the fire and I picked up the wood. Then I sat down and thought about what Jesus had said. Wow, grown-ups have to be more like children, more like me. Do you know, Janai was only a little boy, a normal little boy, just busy helping his mum when Jesus called him over. You can only imagine how surprised he must have been when Jesus then turned round and said to all his friends, grown men, you've got to be more like this child Janai here. But you know, sometimes as grown-ups we don't always do what we should do. We let things get in the way. We let barriers get in the way. We let things that happen in the world get in the way. Children don't have those worries and those cares about mortgages and jobs. And I think what Jesus is saying, if you behave like a little child and you put your love of God above all those things that you have to worry about, then you too are like a little child. So there we are. There's our story. Jesus telling his friends not to worry so much about everything and be more like a little child. Be more like me.
And so our song today is I will click my fingers, and it does have actions. I will click my fingers, I will clap my hands, I will stamp my feet and shout hallelujah. I will whistle as loud as I can. I'm happy, I'm a child of the Lord. I will click my fingers. Here we go. I will click my fingers, clap my hands, stomp my feet and shout hallelujah. Then I'll whistle as loud as I can. I'm happy, I'm a child of the Lord. Go. I will click my fingers, I will clap my hands, stamp my feet and shout hallelujah. Then I'll whistle as loud as I can. I'm happy, I'm a child of the Lord. Last time. Click my fingers. I will click my fingers, clap my hands, stomp my feet and shout hallelujah. Then I'll whistle as loud as I can. I'm happy, I'm a child of the Lord.
So let's just quieten ourselves down after our song. Maybe you'd like to close your eyes and imagine how special Janai felt when Jesus spoke directly to him in front of all his grown-up friends and told him how important he was to God. So now I'm going to say a prayer, and you can say a big Amen with me at the end. Dear God, thank you that children are important to you. Thank you that we are all special to you. Please don't let us forget how much you love us. Amen. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.